We now move to Division I FCS and FBS football programs. The FCS is the Football Championship subdivision. They're typically made up of smaller schools and compete for the NCAA Division I Football Championship. However, they can be scheduled to play FBS opponents. The Football Bowl Subdivision, or FBS, are the pinnacle of college football programs in the United States. As of 2024, teams compete for a spot in the 12-team playoffs in order to chase the College Football Playoff National Championship. The first of the Division I FCS schools are the Alabama A&M Bulldogs, who fielded their first team in 1912. They are located in Huntsville and play their home games at Louis Crews Stadium with a capacity of 21,000. They are part of the SWAC, or Southwestern Athletic Conference. They have won a total of 14 conference titles. 12 of these titles were from their days in Division II football with the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. 5 titles were under head coach Louis Crews, who the stadium is named for. He coached at Alabama A&M for 15 seasons from 1960 to 1975. Crews would leave the Bulldogs as the winningest coach in their history, with a record of 94 wins, 52 losses, and 3 ties. In 1999, the Bulldogs moved to the SWAC and would win 2 conference championships in 2006 and 2020. In 2020, the Bulldogs were voted the winners of the Black College Football National Championship with their undefeated record of 5-0. I was confused when I first read this, wondering how they could have won with such a small record, and then I remembered what was going on in 2020, and suddenly it made a lot more sense. The Bulldogs' current head coach is Connell Mayer, who is responsible for their lone 2020 Natty, and currently has a record of 34 wins and 26 losses. Despite a strong start to his career with 4 winning seasons at A&M, his last 2 seasons have been losing ones. But May 2024 is a turning point for the program, for Mayer to get the Bulldogs back on track. The Sanford Bulldogs are located in Birmingham, where they play on Bobby Bowden Field at Pete Hanna Stadium, with a capacity of 6,700. They are a member of the Southern Conference, though they have been a part of many over the last 100 years. Their first season was in 1902. They have won 5 conference championships, 3 with the Dixie Conference in the 30s. They are co-champions for the 2013 season under head coach and Auburn Heisman Trophy winner Pat Sullivan, but have to share with Furman and Chattanooga, and the most recent coming from head coach Chris Hatcher in 2022, where they boasted an 11-2 record with the Southern Conference. The Bulldogs have made the FCS playoffs 6 times since 1991, and have only made it to the semis once, and that was the 91 season. In 92, 2013, 16, and 17, they saw first-round eliminations. Their 22-season playoffs started with a shootout against the Southeastern Louisiana Lions, which they won 48-42. The Bulldogs were sent home by North Dakota State in the quarterfinals after losing 27-9. Their current head coach is Chris Hatcher in his 8th season, who boasts a 51-win, 38-loss record. The Alabama State Hornets are located in the capital of Alabama, Montgomery, and have been playing football since 1901. The Hornets are a member of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. They play at Hornet Stadium, which can hold 26,500 fans. Over their long history, they have won 6 conference championships, 4 with their old conference, the Division II Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, and 2 with the Division I SWAC. Their best coach in their history is probably Rufus Lewis. Lewis coached for 9 seasons between 1934 to 1942, winning the SIAC title twice in 1935 and 36. Arguments could be made for Whitney L. Van Cleve, who also won 2 SIAC championships, albeit with a worse record, or Houston Markham, who is the longest tenured. Their current head coach, who finished his 2nd year in 2023, is Eddie Robinson Jr., who has a 13-9 record. Alabama State has a rivalry with Alabama A&M. Every year they meet in the Magic City Classic. It is a tight contest, but the Bulldogs hold a small lead over the Hornets. The current breakdown is A&M with 44 wins to State's 40, with 8 ties between the two. The North Alabama Lions are located in Florence. They are today an FCS team, but most of their history is in the NCAA Division II. Their home field is Brawley Municipal Stadium, with a capacity of 14,215. They hold 17 conference titles and an impressive 3 Division II national titles. They fielded their first team all the way back in 1912, but would be dissolved in 1928 following terrible performance and a lack of meaningful progress. In 1949, the program would be revived and Hal Shelf would take the reins. Hal would be the longest running coach, as he would lead the team for 21 seasons until 1969. Coach Self is the man who helped build the Lions into the powerhouse they are today. Their most celebrated head coach would be Bobby Wallace, who would serve the college in 2 separate stints between 1988 to 1997 and 2012 to 2016. He would only have 2 losing seasons during the 88 to 97 tenure. From 1993 to 1995, the Lions would see a level of dominance that all fans crave. During that time, they would play 42 games and only lose once, and in the process win 3 back-to-back-to-back Division II championships. After the 97 season, Wallace would leave North Alabama to coach Temple. 15 years later, Wallace would return to coach the Lions, and despite a rocky start in his first year, he would lead them to 4 Gulf South Conference titles in a row, and even get them back to the championship game in 2016 with a record of 11-2. They would wind up losing to Northwest Missouri State 29-3. Wallace would retire again after the conclusion of the 2016 season with 126 wins, 51 losses, and 1 tie while at UNA in both stints. In 2018, the Lions would make the jump from Division II to Division I FCS. Today, they are part of the United Athletic Conference. Their current head coach is Brent Dearmon, who has only had 1 season with a record of 3-8. The first of the Division I FBS schools is the University of Alabama in Birmingham, who started in 1991. The Blazers play in the new Protective Stadium, which opened in 2021 and moved away from the historic Legion Field. Protective can hold 47,100 people. For the 91 and 92 seasons, the Blazers would compete as a Division III school, but swiftly rose to join the ranks as a D1 independent by 1995. From 1999 to 2022, they would be a part of Conference USA. Under head coach Bill Clark, they won 2 conference championships in 2018 and 2020, beating Middle Tennessee and Marshall. Today, UAB is a member of the AAC, or the American Athletic Conference, which they joined in 2023. Bill Clark resigned in 2022 due to health reasons, as not the longest tenured, but most successful UAB coach with a 49-26 record. Their current head coach is Trent Dilfer, who has completed 1 season with a 4-8 record. The team did go on hiatus for a time between 2014 to 2017, as UAB president Ray Watts believed the program was too expensive to keep funding. This was not going to stand. It may have been a shrewd business move, but this is Alabama, and we love our college football. With major student and community backlash, the move to end football at UAB lasted only until the summer of 2015, when the campus announced football would be back in 2016, but this would be pushed to the 2017 season. Up until 2018, UAB had not done anything spectacular, but sometimes it takes losing something you love to be the kick to create a winner. However, their greatest moment came in 2000, when the Blazers traveled down to Baton Rouge and shocked the SEC by beating the LSU Tigers 13-10. That victory was over first-year head coach Nick Saban, but we'll be talking more about him later. Located in Jacksonville, the Jacksonville State University Gamecocks have been playing football since 1904. JSU plays ball in Conference USA as of 2023. They host their games at Burgess Snow Field at JSU Stadium with 24,000 seats. The Gamecocks have been part of many conferences over their history and have won 25 conference championships across 5 of them. These are 5 from the Alabama Collegiate Conference, 1 from the Mid-South Conference, 9 from the Gulf South Conference, 9 from the Ohio Valley Conference, and 1 from the Atlantic Sun Conference. What is interesting about the Gamecocks is how they have worked up from the lower divisions to where they are now in the FBS. First, they were part of the NAIA, then moved to the NCAA Division II, then to the FCS, and finally in 2023 to the FBS. The Gamecocks have won 1 NCAA Division II national championship under head coach Bill Burgess in 1992, when they defeated Pittsburgh State 17-13, finishing with a record of 12 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. They have appeared in 4 total championships across their history. Burgess would win 4 Gulf South Conference championships between 1988 to 1992 and had a record of 84 wins, 49 losses, and 4 ties when he left in 1996. The field at JSU Stadium would be named after him to commemorate his achievements. Bill Burgess is also notable for being the father of Rick and Greg Burgess, who are the radio hosts of the Rick and Bubba Show, which still airs today. Jacksonville State's current head coach is Rich Rodriguez, who in his first 2 seasons has made quite the impact with a record of 18-6. In his first season, he won the Atlantic Sun Conference Championship, and in his second, he won the team's first FBS bowl game appearance by beating the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns 34-31 in the New Orleans Bowl. The Troy Trojans have been passing the pigskin since 1909. They play football in Troy at Veterans Memorial Stadium, which has a capacity of 30,470. They are part of the Sun Belt Conference. The Trojans are much like the aforementioned Gamecocks for working their way through the NAIA, Division II, and FCS to reach the FBS. The Trojans have been successful in their storied history, winning an NAIA national championship in 1968 under head coach Billy Atkins, and 2 NCAA Division II titles in 1984 and 87 under coaches Chan Gailey and Rick Rhodes. They have won 22 conference championships in 5 different conferences over the decades, 3 in the Alabama Intercollegiate Conference, 3 in the Alabama Collegiate Conference, 6 in the Gulf South Conference, and 3 in the Southland Conference. In their current conference, the Sun Belt, they hold 8 championships, showing dominance at all levels. The greatest head coach to lead the Trojans was Larry Blakeney. He led them to their first undefeated regular season in 1995. He would rack up 8 conference championships during his long tenure between 1991 to 2014. Most impressively is that 5 were back-to-back from 2006 to 2010. Blakeney would retire from football in 2014, finishing with a total record of 178 wins, 113 losses, and 1 tie while at Troy. The current head coach is Jared Parker, who will coach his first season in 2024, as the former head coach, John Summerall, moved to Tulane at the end of the 2023 season. The University of South Alabama Jaguars are the youngest FBS football program in the state, having been founded in 2009. They are in the Sun Belt Conference. The Jaguars play at Hancock-Whitney Stadium in Mobile. The team has not won any championships in their short history. Joey Jones is the longest tenured coach for the Jaguars from 2008 to 17, who helped them have a strong start against FCS and Division III schools. However, once the team transitioned to the FBS in 2012, Jones did not perform. The Jaguars did not post a winning season over the next 6 seasons. The former coach from 2021 to 23, Kane Womack, was hired away to the University of Alabama to be their DC. He was the coach who posted the best record since joining the FBS of 10-3 in 2022. In 2023, despite having a worse record of 7-6, South Alabama would win their first bowl game in the 68 Ventures Bowl, beating Eastern Michigan 59-10. Major Applewhite is the new head coach and will have his first season in 2024. It is interesting to see a program like the Jaguars. The previous FBS teams had history spanning decades, if not a century, and have only joined Division I competition in fairly recent years, while South Alabama only had to wait 3 seasons before reaching the same status. It is up to Coach Applewhite to pick up where Kane Womack left off. And those were the FCS and FBS non-SEC college football teams. It amazes me how old some of these programs are, having started all the way back in the early 1900s. Then we have the inverse of teams, which in the grand scheme of things are only just taking their first steps, creating their own stories and legacies. Thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you in part 3, where we will discuss the SEC teams which call Alabama home.